Imagine how many people out there right now are fucking, man.
Step inside my head together.
Just going at it.
Get your heart out, girls. Hands off the merchandise.
Uh-oh. Cena's back. Are we gonna piss our pants and forget where we live? Try to hold your shit together. It's not that bad. As a matter of fact, there's actually a silver lining, and I'm going to talk a lot about it in a minute. First of all, let's get some Battleground shit out of the way. There's not much to say. Battleground sucked. I was tweeting during the show, ripping it apart. I thought it sucked. Horrible, pointless fucking waste of time. I absolutely hated this goddamn pay-per-view. I happened to be home, which I didn't think I would be, and I said, you know what the fuck? It's on. I'm not going to ignore it. So I paid actually a couple bucks for the stream just to eyeball it. I knew it was going to be bad, but I figured if I was home, you know, for the good of the commentary, I should at least keep an eye on it. And the pay-per-view was everything I thought it would be and less. Fuck saying the old cliche, oh, it was just a glorified Raw. Fuck that. It was a glorified Saturday morning slam. Some people on Twitter were misunderstanding me. Oh, good mic work. You're sounding just like the Smarks that you always rip apart. No, there is a huge difference. I'm not ripping apart anything that is good. You know, if I see good writing, good matches, good television, you know, compelling stories, you know, I'm not going to get all pissed off and say the whole pay-per-view sucked just because my favorite guy didn't win. There's a big difference. I'm not saying the effort wasn't there. I'm not saying the wrestlers didn't go out there and give it their all like they always do. The matches were cold. They were meaningless. There was no stories, definitely no strong stories except for really the main event. The CM Punk Ryback match was just the beginning of their feud. The Rhodes versus the Shield was pretty predictable. You figured Cody has got to find his way back onto the roster, so you kind of knew the outcome there. And of course, the main event, you didn't know what the fuck was going to happen, and you knew that Daniel Bryan and Randy Orton were going to be main eventing Hell in the Cell, and most likely Survivor Series as well. So all I was really saying about Battleground is all of that shit that we saw could have just been done on Raw. And this is just the WWE's fucked up pay-per-view system that is really to blame here. I'm not upset because of any of the outcomes or the decisions on Battleground. I don't give a shit who won or lost, and I think all the wrestlers tried their hardest, but what was the point of these fucking matches? So it was really just one of these stupid filler pay-per-views that will go completely unremembered. I understand that we're in the age that you can't just say, oh, I wish WWE could go back to 5 pay-per-views a year. That's not going to happen. I understand they're going to have one a month, whatever. But when they're 2 and 3 weeks apart, I mean, even now, you know, Battleground was just 2 days ago. Already we got Hell in the Cell coming up in 3 weeks. You could have just eliminated Battleground altogether and had Night of Champions, Hell in the Cell, Survivor Series. 1 per fucking month. As a matter of fact, I wish the WWE could figure out a way to do 10 pay-per-views. It's not a huge decrease, but it's enough of a decrease that maybe some of these storylines wouldn't have to be hot-shotted so much. You could drag things out a little bit further, and you could make these pay-per-views a little more meaningful, I mean, and give people a reason to slap down their $40. No wonder the fucking UFC is just destroying the WWE in pay-per-view ratings. Because their matches and their shows mean something. The WWE has got to figure out a way to make these things mean something, and we knew that Battleground, it's just, have they even had a Battleground before? How many Battlegrounds have there been? You know, shows like Battleground, Payback, even Hell in the Cell and TLC to a degree could all just go away, and I would be completely fine with that as a fan. Bottom line, the main reason that I hated Battleground was because it was pointless. That was it. It did give us some moments. Even though the Rhodes versus Shield match was predictable, it put a huge smile on my face. That was just a great match and a really great moment for the Rhodes family. I was happy for them, and I knew we were going to see that Dusty Rhodes elbow. I just knew it. The CM Punk Ryback match, I think I even mentioned in my last commentary that, you know, CM Punk might just get some quick little fast victory on Ryback because it's not a gimmick match. It's not like it's no disqualification or anything like that. It's just a straight-up wrestling match. This is just a kickoff of their feud that's going to lead into probably the next 2 or 3 pay-per-views. And after CM Punk got beat last month by Paul Heyman, I certainly didn't think Ryback was going to beat him this pay-per-view. And they almost went with the same exact finish that they did a year ago when they wrestled, and CM Punk won with a low blow. This time CM Punk delivered the low blow instead of Brad Maddox, and it was a justifiable low blow because Ryback and Heyman were acting like assholes throughout the whole match, cheating their fucking nuts off, and CM Punk ended up giving them a little taste of their own medicine, you know, but still, it didn't further anything. CM Punk didn't get his hands on Paul Heyman, you know, it's just going to stretch this out another pay-per-view or even another one. and where there's going to be some sort of stipulation set up where it's going to give the opportunity for CM Punk to finally get his hands on Paul Heyman. I don't know how much longer they're going to carry this on, but if Paul Heyman's starting to develop a stable, you know, who fucking knows? And of course, the main event, Daniel Bryan, Randy Orton, nothing was settled. I should have seen this coming. That's something I never even bothered to predict. All I knew is that Daniel Bryan was not going to walk out of that pay-per-view with the title. I didn't even think that they would just do a fucking schmoz ending. They did this shit 15 years ago with Stone Cold. Remember Undertaker Kane, the October pay-per-view? The belt was vacated, and Vince McMahon decided to have Undertaker and Kane wrestle for the vacated title and put Steve Austin as the special guest referee. Well, Austin refused to count the shoulders. He sabotaged the match, kicked the crap out of Kane and the Undertaker, left them both laying there, and subsequently got fired for it. So Big Show comes out there and knocks out Daniel Bryan because he was told to. But then he decides that his pride is just not going to let him be a bitch any longer, and he knocks out Randy Orton, also stopping him from winning the WWE title, and the pay-per-view just ends, and there was no decision. So that takes us into Raw. Stephanie comes fucking marching out there, raging bitch on her period, calls out the Big Show. She's screaming in his face, and you know what? For some reason, he doesn't seem to care. He's laughing off everything she's saying. He's smirking at her. He does not look like the scared little bitch that he has looked like in previous weeks, and this is where I smell Vince. Because what does Stephanie do? She's poking him in the chest. She's slapping him like fucking multiple times. Did you see that? It cracked me up. And then finally she said, "You're fired, Big Show." And he's like, "Good, fuck you. I don't give a fuck." And he gets out of the ring and he just goes away and he's like, I guess I'm fired. Oh well. You know, doesn't seem like he cares at all. So after that, the show moves on. What else did we see on the show? Well, not a hell of a whole lot. We saw CM Punk and R-Truth team up and score a victory over Ryback and Curtis Axel. It looks like The Miz and the Wyatt family have kicked off a feud, and of course the WWE is milking the fucking shit out of this Antonio Cesaro giant swing. Yes, it's great. Yes, I pissed my pants in amazement the first time I saw it, but just like everything, the WWE now is making this such a huge deal that they are sucking the life out of it. Cesaro is a beast, unbelievably strong. He was able to swing the Great Khali like that, unbelievable. But the WWE doesn't need to show 19 replays of it and then also make him do it again on Monday Night Raw. It's one of the biggest things that I hate about wrestling is everybody's got to get their shit in. Now getting back to the WWE title angle, now because of the Big Show's involvement at Battleground and how he sabotaged the main event, it is announced that Daniel Bryan and Randy Orton are going to wrestle at Hell in the Cell. Big fucking surprise, we all knew that. It's going to be in the cell, it's going to be for the WWE title, and this time to ensure that there's no fucking garbage going on, they are going to select a Hall of Famer to be the special guest referee, and the fans are going to vote for it on that bullshit WWE app that they plug every 11 seconds. The choices are about as random as you can get. I guess it's whoever the hell they happen to have backstage. Booker T is number 1, Bob Backlund of all people is number 2, and HBK, Shawn Michaels, was the third guy. A huge surprise, a lot of debate, a lot of people were wondering who it was going to be because the WWE dragged it out, let it go through a couple of segments before they announced the third Hall of Famer. I kind of thought it might be Dusty Rhodes just because he's already involved in this thing anyway. Mick Foley made a lot of sense because he's back with WWE now. He made the Hell in the Cell famous, and why not put him in there? He's reffed him before. And then again, so has Shawn Michaels, and those were basically my 3 picks of who I thought it would be. It turns out to be Shawn, which he fits right in because he's friends with Triple H. He trained Daniel Bryan. Of course, they're going to play into that. This now has a whole new dimension added to it, and it just kind of gets my mind racing, and we're going to talk about that in a minute when I talk about Cena. But I'll wait until my next commentary or two to see how they play up this on TV to give you a prediction. But if I had to make an early prediction, I still think that Randy Orton might win that title before Daniel Bryan. I don't know if Daniel Bryan is going to win it when it's vacated. I think as fans, people who truly think that they love him and have such a goddamn short fucking attention span, if Randy Orton winds up winning this title at Hell in the Cell, don't freak out because that's actually better. I would rather have Daniel Bryan defeat a champion. I'd rather have him going in as the challenger against the champion and winning the title from him. I think that's much better than just winning the vacated title. So I think Randy Orton should win it first and then Daniel Bryan should take it from him. And that could all tie into the big news of the night. That's right, John Cena, randomly out of fucking nowhere, was announced by Vicky Guerrero that he is going to return at Hell in the Cell to challenge, of all things, for the World Heavyweight Championship against Alberto Del Rio. This comes as a shock to many, people who hate John Cena and people who don't. I am very surprised that he is back already, although I shouldn't be. And here, every time they slice open this guy, he takes 8 weeks to fucking heal, and he's back in the goddamn ring. Now, immediately, the entire wrestling community is pissed off. Well, I gotta say what Triple H and Stephanie have been saying, it's what's best for business. You hate John Cena. I know a lot of people. My good buddy Deluxe Man was basically saying, why couldn't they just give us, the 4 to 6 months off from John Cena? Yeah, you're right. You could use 4 to 6 months off from John Cena. I could use 4 to 6 months off from him, and a lot of other fans too. But a lot of their core audience and all the money that John Cena brings in, they just need him there for business reasons. If John Cena brought in no money for the WWE and no one was interested in him, then WWE just simply wouldn't have him out there. But the ratings have kind of been in the shitter lately. It's nobody's fault. It's football season. It's hard to compete with Monday Night Football, especially when it's, kind of these, meaningless, fall pay-per-views that really never do too much. Things don't get kicked off until Survivor Series and then the beginning of the year, WrestleMania time. This is kind of a lull period anyway. The ratings seem to always take a dip, but all these people that say, oh, if John Cena would just go away and they would just make CM Punk and Daniel Bryan champion, then all would be well and the ratings would be huge and everybody would love wrestling again and things would be just as popular as they were in the Attitude Era. Bullshit. Daniel Bryan has been featured in the main event on every single show ever since John Cena left, and if the ratings have done anything, they have gone down. So bringing John Cena back isn't necessarily the worst thing in the world, and hey, look at the silver lining here. At least if they're bringing him back, he's challenging for the World Heavyweight title. Yes, I agree, that makes no sense. But why don't you wait? They never gave an explanation. Maybe they will. Maybe Vince McMahon has something to do with this, because Vince McMahon, I think, was the one that got the Big Show rehired. Think about it. Big Show didn't seem to be too concerned at all when Stephanie was ridiculing him in the ring a week ago. He would have been crying like a little bitch out there. He seemed to shrug her off like he had nothing to worry about. Fuck you, I'm fired, I don't give a shit. And he shows back up in the main event, complete with his entrance music and the whole deal. He's obviously back. If he was fired, he'd come through the crowd. So somebody must have brought him back within the course of the show. He gets in the ring and knocks out Triple H. It's probably going to turn out that Vince McMahon had something to do with that. Maybe Vince McMahon has something to do with John Cena getting the World Heavyweight title shot too. So on the surface, yes, this makes no sense, but maybe, just maybe, there's more to this than meets the eye. And I think this might be strategically done because look at the potential that we have here for Hell in the Cell. You know what we might see as wrestling fans? You want to hear some IWC bitching? You wait till the end of Hell in the Cell when we have Randy Orton and John Cena, both world champions. You talk about what's best for business, quote unquote. You talk about the faces of the WWE. This has unbelievable potential. Now, I know it's nice to dream about John Cena heel turns. I've been right there with just about everybody that says the WWE is just never going to have the fucking guts to do this. But here, again, we have a potential storyline handed to them on a silver platter. Will they pull the trigger on it? Probably not. But what if, John Cena comes back and this whole thing is some giant conspiracy? Look at the people, look at what Stephanie and Triple H are trying to get over on everybody. They got Scarlett Armstrong out in the last pay-per-view to fast count Daniel Bryan and then get in the ring the next night on Raw and say, oh, they're on to us, they're on to us. They put that motherfucker up to all of it. And he showed back up at the Battleground pay-per-view, so we knew he was back in the mix. They're also using Brad Maddox as a pawn in their game by blaming him for everything. Oh, Brad Maddox was at the show, we weren't even there. What the fuck, cell phones don't work in whatever fucking planet you're living on? First of all, you were there. You were probably there since 8 a.m. that morning telling everybody what to fucking do. The fans aren't fucking stupid, and even if you weren't there, you can't call somebody and tell them what to do. You can't pick up the phone or text Brad Maddox and say, hey, tell the Big Show to go out there and knock out Daniel Bryan if he starts winning. Their explanations are horseshit, and you can obviously see that they're up to no good here, so maybe, just maybe, this is either Vince McMahon bringing that back the Big Show, Vince McMahon, giving John Cena a title shot to go against, Triple H and Stephanie, or maybe this all ties in together and it could be a one big giant conspiracy, and the McMahon family are all together and on the same page all along, and all they really want for the WWE is for Randy Orton and John Cena to be the two biggest, most over money-making stars in the company. That would make for a great heel faction. What if John Cena and Randy Orton are standing side by side in the ring with Triple H and Stephanie, both with world titles over their shoulder? You mean to tell me that wouldn't be good TV? Ho ho! Love John Cena or not, you would cream your pants, and so would I. So before we go all schizo on John Cena coming back, let's just give it some time and just see where exactly they go with this, because right now it makes no sense to say, oh, John Cena's healed, he's coming back, and let's just put him in the ring with the World Heavyweight Champion. He hasn't fucking contended for that title in I don't know how long. John Cena is rarely on SmackDown, nor does he work the SmackDown shows. He's mainly featured on Raw, wrestling for the WWE title. Where does this all fit in? I think the WWE owes us an explanation, and I think the WWE might give us one. So give them until next week, until they explain this shit with the Big Show and why John Cena's getting the title. And I don't know if we're going to see Cena before the pay-per-view. I'm guessing not. He's just going to return at the pay-per-view. There's also the wild card of Damien Sandow cashing in. I don't know what sense a Damien Sandow-John Cena feud makes, and I don't think that John Cena would win the title on his first night back and then be defeated by Damien Sandow. Although, now that I'm just thinking as I'm talking here, that could be a great way to launch Sandow if they really wanted to, because Cena could come off the injury and they could play off that in the match. Wow, is he coming back too early, or whatever, and he could be really fucked up. His elbow could be a mess. He somehow pulls out the victory, and then Sandow comes in and cashes in and wins the title from him. And they could say, oh, Cena wasn't 100%, yada, 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 and that could start their feud. But I highly doubt that Cena would drop the belt in a cash-in situation to Damien Sandow. I actually think they're going to wait longer. And plus, does anybody even like Damien Sandow? I mean, he does well with his character and shit, but there's just something about him that I'm not into at all. And I just don't think he's over. I think he was much more over when he was tag teaming with Cody Rhodes. Him by himself like this, he's kind of just one of these combinations of Mr. Bob Backlund, Hunter Hearst Helmsley, fucking snobby prick asshole, and I guess that's his character, and if I don't like him, then he's doing his job well, sort of, but it's just one of those things where I just don't think anybody cares about him. I don't even care when he comes out to the ring. I don't care who he's wrestling. I don't watch his shit. I just don't fucking care. But still, he could very well play a role in this thing too, so I guess we'll just have to wait and see, and we're not going to have to fucking wait long, because Hell in the Cell is right around the corner. Too many pay-per-views, WWE, too many pay-per-views. I will say, though, Hell in the Cell looks a hell of a lot better than Battleground. John Cena coming back again, too, isn't the worst thing in the world for the World Heavyweight title's sake, because it's kind of the secondary title, and if they put a big-name star, like him or hate him, John Cena's still a big-name star. It almost brings meaning back to both titles, and now, when the World Heavyweight title changes hands, it could be a big deal, because it could very well be John Cena to be the one to drop it. Where if Alberto Del Rio or Sheamus or Christian or anybody like that drops the World Heavyweight title, does anybody care? So with John Cena holding the belt, it makes for, I guess, more meaningful main events. I guess maybe that's what the WWE's going for. So we'll just have to wait and see. But as usual, Good Mic Work is not nearly as concerned with John Cena returning as everybody else is. I could fucking care less. So that is it for this week. Sure was fun talking about John Cena again. I didn't think we were even going to have to talk about him until the beginning of the year. And I'm sure that anybody who didn't agree with me is fucking pissed. So the caps lock key is right there to your left. Hit it and go to town. I will talk to you guys in a week. Peace.